What time frame are we legislating on? If you put it in law and cast it in stone, that a person cannot acquire more than one affordable housing unit, what if we get to the point where this project, assuming has become so successful, that all Kenyans who wish to apply have applied and have been allocated housing units? Are you going to shut down the scheme? Are you going to then come back to Parliament to amend it so that the next round of Kenyans can benefit? Mr. Chair, we must be very careful with the manner in which we legislate. And we must also ensure that whenever we make amendments at the committee stage of the House, we ask ourselves whether those amendments have been subjected to public participation. I know that at the third reading stage, any member has a right to rise and to make amendments subject to certain consultations with the chair of the respective committee. But does it take away the right of the public to be part of the decisions that we make? Does it take away that constitutional responsibility to ensure that we inject the views and the voices of the public in whatever it is that we do? Mr. Chair, I think this is a fairly dangerous amendment because it is an amendment that is coming from a position of want, a position that we are in, which could be resolved or which could easily be solved in 5 years or in 10 years' time. Once the situation has been solved in 10 years' time, where every Kenyan has access to affordable housing, every Kenyan, even if they have not bought from this project, there are those who come from communities like mine. And Mr. Chair, still speaking to this amendment, I can tell you that there are certain cultural dimensions to home ownership that we do not take into account whenever we are legislating. We think that everyone comes from Singapore. We think that everyone comes from South Korea. We come from Kenya. Mr. Chair, in my community, when a boy gets to the age of 18 or 19, that boy is compelled to build his first house. That first house is called a Simba. Mr. Chair, in my community, 90% of men
Senator,
have access to houses.
If you could please summarize so that we can get a response to that.
Mr. Chair,
argument.
As per the practice in this House, if there's limitation of debate, it is done before a member takes the floor. And in the committee of the whole, Mr. Chair, we have agreed that when you propose a question, any member has a right to comment on that proposal.
Senator,
and therefore, Mr. Chair, if you would allow me, just my normal 15 minutes, if there is need for limitation of debate, that motion can be passed or that motion can be made after I've finished my submission. Those are the rules of this House. Those are not the rules of government. Those are the rules of this House. And when we are discussing a matter so important to Kenyans, we cannot be casual about application of the law, and the chair cannot be directed to commit illegalities and unconstitutional behavior.
Senator
When I
Kajwang.
took the floor, I was entitled to 15 minutes to discuss the proposal. If any member wants to limit debate, you can only do it after I've sat down. Those are the rules of the House, and they are in this blue
Senator
document.
Kajwang.
They are not in any political party document. Mr. Chair,
Senator
if you allow
Kajwang.
me, in 15 minutes, I will be done with my comments on the new clause 42B. And I will yield
Senator
the floor
Kajwang, we
to
are in
other
the
members
committee
to make
of
their
the whole.
comments.
Senator Kajwang, we're in the committee of the whole.
Mr. Chairman,
When
committee
you're making
of the whole, when you propose the question, all of us have a right to comment on that question. And that is why we were requesting that you go a little bit slow between proposing the question and putting the question. Mr. Chair, those are the rules of this House. Those are the rules of
What
debate.
is your point of order, Senator
And if
Cheriot?
Senator Cheriot feels outwitted, then it is what it is. These are the rules of the House.
The mic. Give me the mic. Mrs. Chairperson. Mr. Chairperson, there's only one chairperson. I hope so. I hope there is only one chairperson. Protect me from hecklers in the House, Mr. Speaker. I want to address you. Mr. Speaker, I want to address you in total silence.
Let's just one more. I should be.
Chairperson.
I will ask him. I've given him the point of order. Let him proceed. We'll listen to him in silence. I'm sure before he sits down, he will make that very clear. What is your point of order?
Thank you,
Senator?
Chairperson, for protecting me. Number one, Mr. Speaker, I take great exception in the conduct of Senator Kajwang. If it was another senator, I would have assumed that probably he doesn't know the traditions of this House and what we do in third reading. Senator Kajwang is not only being cheeky, because I watched him when he walked into the House, and I could hear him clearly tell his colleagues that, why are you guys not filibustering? I knew. Mr. Speaker, can you protect me? Mr. Speaker,
let
I am
him
not in a mood to
finish.
engage
Yes.
in a heckling debate.
We will find out.
Mr. Speaker, can you protect me?
You're protected, Senator Cheriot. You
So the
proceed.
point is this. Senator Kajwang knows that in third reading, you try to persuade people why you're not in supportive of the proposed amendment. In a quick, witty comment, hardly beyond a minute, Mr. Speaker, and you give opportunity to the chairperson or the person that is moving that amendment to convince you why that amendment is important. This is not a debate stage, Mr. Speaker.
Senators, let us. Just one moment before. Can we conclude on Senator Kajwang's issue? What's your point of order, Senator Sifuna?
Chair, thank you for... Chair, I would like the attention of the chair, please. Chair, I wanted to draw your attention to Standing Order 185. Mr. Chair, allow me to read. General application of rules in committee of the whole, except as otherwise provided in these standing orders. The same rules of order and of debate for the conduct of business shall be observed in the committee of the whole in the Senate. Mr. Speaker, therefore, nobody should rise up to tell you that there are traditions. Traditions are only applied where there is no express provision of the standing orders. So Honorable Kajwang is within his right, Mr. Speaker. Even in committee of the House, I am surprised somebody who's told us many times that he's doing the third term in this House has no idea which standing orders he's referring to. And Mr. Speaker, when somebody stands up on a point of order, Mr. Speaker, you must insist on which standing order he is rising. I have read the law of this House. We will not be threatened by old people here that you have been here 10 times, but you can't read very simple English. Mr. Speaker, therefore, allow us to debate in the normal fashion, because that is what the law says. Mr. Chairman, do not be intimidated by anybody telling you they were elected before your grandfather was born. We are all here now. And Mr. Chairman, we are subject to the same rules. We must speak in accordance with the Constitution and in accordance with the standing orders, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, nobody should come here to tell us about traditions of which community. The traditions of the House are dictated by the standing orders. So I dare anybody else to stand up and read.
Order, senators. Order, senators. Order, senators. Order. Let us have some order. Order, senators. No, order, senators. Order, sit down. Okay, sit down, Sifuna. Sit down, Senator Abbas. No more, Senator. No more point of orders. No, senators. I cannot allow, because it is going out of hand. Not on the same matter. Is it on the same matter? Okay, Senator Mogeni, go ahead. Order, Senator, one moment. Let's hear what he has to say.
You know, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I've said on this floor that I have tremendous respect for Senator Cheriot, and I've said he's a young senator who has a very bright future. But when he starts shouting at us,
it's not right. Because you need to allow us to hear what your point of order, and you also give us a chance. The Speaker, you know, we are in this House because we derive our powers from the Constitution. And yes, so Mr. Speaker, Senator Sifuna has made reference to Standing Order 185. But Mr. Speaker, the article I want you to bear in mind is Article 124 of the Constitution. Article 124, Mr. Speaker, states that each House of Parliament may establish committees and shall make standing orders for the orderly conduct of its proceedings, including the proceedings of committees. So the standing order that Senator Sifuna has read has a bearing on what is happening, Mr. Speaker. The same standing orders that allow us to raise issues when we are legislating, it flows from a power that is donated to you by Article 124 of the Constitution. And you know, Mr. Speaker, it's high time some of us moved to court to challenge some of these standing orders that limit our right to make contributions on behalf of the people of Nyamira, of Homa Bay, of Nairobi, who have elected us.
Thank you, Senator. Is your point made?
Can you protect me from Senator Cherege? So, Mr. Speaker,
let's hear him in silence.
When you read Article 124, and don't make in Section 2A, don't make us go back there. We are now operating under a new Constitution, 2010. Senator Cherege, my friend, there are Kenyans who died to put this Constitution in place. No, we have to lecture you because we have to remind you. We have to remind you history. We have to remind you. So, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. So, okay, Senator,
Speaker,
order.
Mr. Speaker.
Order, Senators.
We are in this House by virtue of powers that is bestowed on us by the Constitution. That the people of Kenya passed, Kenya Constitution of 2010.
Thank you, Senator.
Under this article, Mr. Speaker, under the article I've read it to you, you have no right to limit us.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Senator. Let me make a ruling so that we can have a way forward. I have to make a ruling so that you can either proceed or not. I have to make a ruling, Senator Kajwang, on this matter. And the ruling also touches on the issues you raised. So, honorable senators, I believe what has been raised by the learned senators in this House, who are very aware of the standing orders and whatever understanding orders that they've raised and the clauses that they've raised on the matter touching on the Constitution, it is very clear that even the standing orders are applied alongside the traditions and practices of this House. When we are in a committee of the whole, intervention should be very brief, and there is no time limitation. It is just meant to be a very brief intervention. The same way when we're in the standing, can we hear in silence? Silent, Senator Cherege. When we're in the committee of the whole, it's the same way that we don't have a seconder for anything that is moved or any question that is put. This said, senators, we will proceed as we were proceeding, and if there is any clause that you want to make an intervention, we will give you an opportunity, but be very brief on the matter. Senator Kajwang, you may not stand. Senator Kajwang. Senator Kajwang, you have raised, can I finish my ruling? Can I finish my ruling? You had concluded and you had raised your matter, Senator Kajwang. You had raised a matter on clause 42B. At this point, I will give Senator Abbas an opportunity to address the issues you had raised. It's only one sentence. It's only one sentence. How can it have not been finished? Senator Kajwang, why don't you listen to the reply? Let's listen to the Senator Kajwang, you had spoken for a good 5 minutes before we interrupted you. No, Senator Kajwang, I will not sit. Let Senator Abbas reply to your issue. Let him.
Okay, order, Mr. Let me give you the rationale. Let me give you the rationale. I will explain myself. Let me explain.
Senator Abbas, address the chair.
Okay. Honorable Speaker, Clause 242B limits the individual owning only one or more houses, unit under the Act. This measure prevents the concentration of units in few hands and ensures equitable distribution among the intended beneficiaries. You can have 100 wives. I'm explaining myself. I'm explaining myself. You could have 100 wives. You could have 10 wives. You could have 100 children. There is no need. You can always buy only one house. We are taking care of the interest of those guys. You should take care of the interest of these guys. Okay. I'm saying, Honorable Speaker, that these houses are meant for the poor people, the low-income houses, persons, and there is no way you can buy 100 houses at the same time. Therefore, this clause justifies. Yes. Order. I'm not talking about the clause. I'm explaining myself. I'm saying
order, Senator. Senators, please sit down.
42B limits. 42B limits individuals to own only one affordable house. Unit under the Act. This measure prevents the concentration. Order. Welcome.
Relax.
Let me explain myself. Kajwang. Where?
Order, senators.
I am on the floor.
Please sit down.
I am on the floor. I am on the floor. I should be given time.
Sit down.
Speaker, I'm on the floor.
Sit down.
Let him read that 181.
Commissioner, sit down.
Hakuna shida.
Sit down.
Wacha asome hiyo 181. Mwambie yeye mwenyewe asome. Wacha asome.
Sit down.
Wacha asome.
Nani?
181 wacha asome.
Wacha.
Asome 181.
Down. Sit down. Majority leader, sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Okay. Senator Kajwang, sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Senator, order. Senators, honorable senators, I'm not sure if Senator Kajwang was in the House when I made a ruling about justification and any interventions in the House will be limited for 2 minutes. 2 minutes. No. I did. I made that ruling in this House. Yes. I said 2 minutes. No, I gave 2 minutes. So, Senator Kajwang, as a way forward, we will listen to Abbas, and then I'll give you an opportunity, not more than 2 minutes, to say what you have to say. Senator Abbas.
Wait. Okay, honorable speakers, senators, let me explain myself. 42B is meant to safeguard so that every Kenyan must have a house, affordable houses. Let him finish. Order, my friend. Yeah, I'm not addressing you.
Senator Abbas, address the chair.
Okay. Honorable Speaker, I'm justifying why we're saying limiting these houses to one person, for one individual, one house. Because you can own 100 wives, you can have 10 kids, you can have 20 kids, but what they're saying is these houses are meant for the poor people and for the low-income houses, guys. If we say that we allow everybody to buy what he wants, then everybody will not get everything what he wants. What we want is those poor people to get what they want. So these houses can be equally distributed. For that is the justification of this clause.
Senator Kajwang.
Mr. Chair, that was exactly my problem with this provision, that we are legislating for poverty, not for prosperity. And when I was making my submission, I was saying that after 5-10 years, everyone has a house. So what are you going to put in the law that since Cheriot already has a house somewhere in Langata, and after 10 years there are additional and excess houses, that nobody should go for the second round? That is poor legislative drafting, and those are poor proposals that should not come in this law. Mr. Chair, the Constitution, Article 117, that talks about powers and privileges of Parliament, provides unfettered freedom of speech and expression. And those people who today want to limit my speech and expression, we shall wait for you. And your day will come when someone will have to stand up for your right of expression and freedom of speech. And Mr. Chair, I do believe, because the 2 minutes are not over, that even after I've prosecuted my reservations on clause 42B, that all other members with a contrary view must also be allowed to contribute, because this is the only time when senators can write laws. Finally, Mr. Chair, when I'm here...
Thank you, Senator. Senator Kathuri Murungi.
Chair, my issue is this. When we get to the third reading of any bill, the purpose for the third reading is to bring any amendment that you feel maybe was not captured well in the bill. And to bring the third reading, any amendment that you feel you should bring, so that you can convince members. And if you can only convince members, and then also we subject to the vote. So Senator Kajwang and all the opportunity during the second reading, at the third reading, to bring an amendment which could have cured this problem. So it could have amended, maybe it should be open-ended, so that now we bring that to the vote at the third reading.
Senators, let's make progress. The people I'm giving a chance, Deputy Speaker, you're supposed to comment on clause 42B, not on the...
Yes, Mr. Speaker. No, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Order, senators.
Mr.
Order.
Speaker.
We need to...
Mr. Speaker.
Senator Manzo will be heard in silence.
Mr. Speaker, just before I comment on this, I want to say my 10 years experience, now that we talked about traditions in the National Assembly, on a matter which generates a lot of interest like this particular one, the speakers will ordinarily allow as many as possible to comment, Mr. Speaker, so that, Mr. Speaker, then you know, out of that, members could make a clear decision whether to amend further or to remain with the same position when we vote. Mr. Speaker, I want to say my issue with this particular amendment, Mr. Speaker, kindly. B, may apply for the board for approval of issuance of an affordable mortgage to develop a rural affordable housing unit, Mr. Speaker.
Senators, can we hear him in silence?
Mr. Speaker,
please take a seat. Take a
Mr.
seat.
Speaker, this particular amendment begins to contradict the whole purpose of the housing, and it goes into to create a situation whereby some people get more privileged than others, and it creates discrimination, which, you know, you may enrich some people more than others, and there should be a way of limiting to make sure if it's affordable housing, it is a unit for everyone across board, so that if you have to do round two, then it balances. You don't begin round two when somebody else doesn't have a house yet and they are deserving. So it is discriminative, Mr. Speaker. I submit.
Thank you, Senators. Senator Abbas, you have a comment?
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I wish to withdraw that amendment of B.
Honorable Senators, honorable Senators, honorable Senators, honorable Senators. Why don't you listen? Honorable Senators, since Senator Abbas has withdrawn the amendments, this matter will not be put to a vote. It is that withdrawn. So I think Senator Kajwang, you have actually won the debate.
New clause 42C.
Mover to move is Senator Abbas Mohammed Sheikh.
Order. Honourable Speaker, I want to bring 42C, except with the prior written consent of the board, a purchaser of an affordable houses unit under Act shall not, by contract, agreement, or otherwise sell or agree to sell his or her unit or interest therein, or in any interest there in any of other persons. Nimemaliza?
Senator Sifuna, what is your intervention?
Mr. Chair, you should ordinarily allow us to make points of order. I was standing. I have been given the mic. This is disorderly conduct by the majority leader, and there's the reason I'm rising on my feet, Mr. Speaker. Pursuant to Standing Order 121, I have seen the majority leader essentially throw a tantrum and smack the desks with his documents there. And yet he has the audacity to accuse me of being disorderly. You have thrown a tantrum. You are doing it again.
Order, Senators.
You are doing it again, Mr.
Senator
Speaker.
Gloria.
Mr. Speaker.
Senator Gloria.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair.
Senator Gloria. Order.
Mr. Chair, there is only one opportunity for you to have order in this House, and that is enforcement of the rules equally. If it were anybody on the minority side who was throwing the tantrum that I have seen my brother, the majority leader, throwing, he would have been thrown out of the House. Why is he being treated specially, Mr. Speaker? Why is he being treated specially?
Very well, Senator.
I want, Mr. Speaker, a ruling on each point of order that we raise, because we must have a record of how this House treats people and how you apply the law, Mr. Speaker. Because ordinarily,
well, Senator,
and you saw it, Mr. Speaker. Please don't pretend you did not see it. And I know you're a good man. You have seen it, and you must bear true witness, Mr. Speaker. The tantrum that was, yes.
No, I didn't see it.
Mr. Speaker, I saw you seeing him. Mr. Speaker, don't be like that. We are in the holy month, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we are in the holy month of Ramadan. Please tell the truth.
Senator, 42C. Oh. Senators, bear with us a minute. We need to clear this screen so that we can have some order. One moment. If you have your button red, just switch it off. Switch it off. Switch it off, then I'll tell you when to switch it on. Okay, for 42C intervention, press now. How many people inside? 2 people I'll give. I propose the question, the new clause 42C be now read a second time. I put the question, before I put the question. Senator of Meru. Senators, press intervention. Intervention. Yako naona. No, but hata huko kwanza. Hii system